quickly, which is fine. We're going to hop into the game. I still want to hear your thoughts on Hasiel, Ian, before Juice and I take this.
Well, I think the big thing here, and we've seen it so far, is talking to Ian before the matches. He said that he's not as worried about the meta shift as people might think because he's been playing lots of Golem and other heavy decks for his YouTube videos, and that grind is paying off, and looks like we're seeing the fruits of that grind here in game number 1.
Yeah, here we go, Juicy. Another E-Giant play against another E-Drag beatdown deck. Probably going to be Golem. With the bats, though, we do see a little bit more E-Golem. Either way, interesting matchup here. I mean, I don't play as much E-Giant as you do, Juicy, especially in the current meta. How do you feel about either of those matches, Golem or E-Golem, with the Elixir Pump?
I think he's got Golem for sure. And I do think that Hasiel should win this matchup. The only reason Electro Giant should lose against Golem is sometimes the healer Barbarians version is extremely difficult to deal with. But the current matchup, Hasiel should definitely win. That being said, Hasiel didn't have Lightning in his starting end for the beginning Elixir Pump for Ian here. So this Elixir advantage is massive. Ian has a chance to win right now with this push. If he doesn't win with this push, I think Hasiel wins.
Yeah, and Hasiel ticks to 9, not even 10. Drops that knight down, as you can see Ian here with a load of Elixir on the board. Goes Skeleton King opposite lane. That Skeleton King becomes really difficult to deal with. The Bomber, though, from Hasiel should be able to help out. But then these Evo Bats behind. Nice NATO there. Now the Evo Bomber comes down. And honestly, a very, very clean start to that defense here from Hasiel. But now we got the Skellies piling up. No Elixir in the tank, Juice.
Yep, and there goes some damage for sure. It's a decent amount, but it's not as much as Ian needs to win this game. And this is why I say Hasiel is in the damage, or not the damage, but the matchup advantage. We saw Ian up almost like 9-10 Elixir at that point, but he's still able to defend because E-Giant is so solid on defense. You have the Phoenix for the Electro Dragon. You have Lightning for Electro Dragon if you need to. The Little Prince is one of the best defensive cards in Clash Royale, and then the Evo Bomber cleans up Skeleton Kings and stuff like that. Really good plays all around for Hasiel.
Yeah, and that NATO is huge, right? It's one of the few times when you talk about, you know, that NATO being so impactful to bring everything on top of that E-Giant. Look at that. Bats from the Night Witch itself, the E-Drag, all of that comes in. E-Giant doesn't get on top of tower, but you look at the Elixir here, should be a pretty easy cleanup for Hasiel, and he should be able to get back on offense pretty quickly.
Yep, great defense all around. Does Hasiel have the Lightning back in cycle for the Elixir Pump? Yes, he does. Has to do the Knight first, though, but that's totally fine. He's getting his Evo back in cycle. Ian is going to take the opportunity to try and get a Golem in the back with the Lightning used on the pump, but Hasiel will probably just a counter push, I guess, with the Electro Giant straight at the Golem. Evo Bombers from both sides, but it seems like Hasiel's Bomber might get more value here.
Yeah, interesting NATO on both sides there. Bomber's not really much of a factor, but you know that was a big draw of all of that attention. Bomber, a 2 Elixir Magic Archer that just does so much damage. And, you know, when you talk about beatdown decks, obviously there's the conversation of, you know, the initial bit of daggers from the Dagger Duchess, and once they're gone, but you get to keep pulling that Golem to the middle, getting both towers on top. It's been really nice for Hasiel.
Now, after all of this being said, Hasiel is currently down damage. He needs to figure out a way to get some damage here because of the small damage lead that Ian got at the beginning. And I don't think it should be a huge problem, but if Ian has these solid defenses that he's known for, it could happen.
And it just takes one push with just 1 minute left, so that's why it also makes it really difficult for Hasiel to try to Lightning Cycle, right? I mean, you cannot Lightning Cycle when there's this much time left, just because the ability to get a Night Witch plus E-Drag, or E-Drag push becomes really, really threatening. So Hasiel still doing the right thing on holding that Lightning just in case, but a lot of damage needs to be made up in this 35 seconds. 800 separating the two. We'll see if we see a defensive Elixir Pump come out here or not. And there it is.
Oh, wow, the Lightning! The
Night
Witch and the Electro Dragon. Tornado on the Evo Bomber takes it out. E-Giant is now in tower, but the Tornado pulls back. Only 20 seconds left on the clock, Andrew. Ian might actually have this on damage from the Evo Bomber previously.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of those things where you thought, oh, does get a connection there. Does he get another one? He does get another one. And a third. No, 1839. Lightning comes in. And just like that, the steal at the end, that Evo Bomber, dude, absolutely broken.
What did I just watch?
Most powerful evolution in the game. Obviously, Dagger Duchess, the best tower troop. But other things that we've seen stand out today is Executioner, super dominant in our early round. Haven't seen as much of it in round number 2 here. So here we go. Ian, Hasiel. Game number 2, Hasiel up 1, comes out early on with the Evo Battle Ram. Not super popular today. I think this is maybe the 3rd time we've seen the Evo Battle Ram, maybe just the 2nd.
Yeah, probably more than I expected, though. I mean, seeing it 3 times, it seems pretty solid, but I mean, that just goes back to the duels formatting, right? I mean, you can only play each evolution once in a potential best of 3, so it makes sense that we'd see a little bit more evolutions that we don't normally get to watch.
Yeah, and we've seen every champion so far except for the Golden Knight and the Monk. So those 2 have been left out, but Skeleton King, Mighty Miner, and AQ, and of course, Little Prince all showing up just a bit. Little Prince obviously the most popular.
So looking at the decks here, it looks like Ian's playing a Drill Poison Evo Zap deck in Hasiel with the just solid Evo Battle Ram Bridge spam. You see the Evo Zap already in cycle within the first 90 seconds, getting a huge elixir advantage, or not elixir advantage, but positive elixir trade onto the Skeleton Dragons there. I think that's really important. If he can continue to do that throughout this match and get that positive trade on the Skeleton Dragons, he will be able to get some really solid trades. Evo Zap, just kind of a middle ground between the small spell and the big spells.
Yeah, it's a really good point that you make there. You look at the cycle here of Ian, obviously can get to a 3-card cycle, and then he has really, really cheap ways to get all the way back around, making sure that Evo Zap is in cycles so that maybe he can save that poison for other things than those Skeleton Dragons. We saw earlier how brutal those Skeleton Dragons, Mega Minion, those types of cards can be to deal with when all you have is the Evo Zap. So now Ian with a couple options to deal with the recruits and the Zap, and a very, very nice cycle to go with it.
Poison dropping down the right hand side again. I really like how Ian has really like solidified which lane he's going for. I think that can cost you a lot of games with cycle decks like this, but here comes the push. Inferno Tower dropping down though, but Evil Battle Ram not gonna get stopped. Boing, boing, and boing, and then it's gonna be heading towards this tower right after.
Evo Zap coming down, but one of those Evo Barbs is going to get on tower for sure. Only gets a couple swings in, but that Duchess has no daggers left. So a nice push coming in. Skeleton Dragons here from Hasiel, and now Ian doing the good game. So that means he's about to go into beast mode, right, Juice? Isn't that what we decided earlier?
Yeah, I don't know why he does this. I think it's just a habit he's formed. He's always trying to get people off their guard. He wants... Wait, not Drill, it's Graveyard. Graveyard dropping down.
Wow.
Maybe this is why he called it a good game. He wanted to get him into a lull of false security. Here comes the Graveyard, but Hasiel, I mean, not taking the bait. Really solid defense.
Yeah, really clean defense. And we've seen how Graveyard can be, well, I'm sure you guys have seen if you've been playing, how Graveyard can be pretty successful against Dagger Duchess once she's a little bit low on those daggers. But you saw here Hasiel with the double spend to make sure enough units came down, didn't have to worry about it that much. And I gotta say, I haven't seen a whole lot of Evo Battle Ram interactions, so to see how it did last time against that Inferno Tower was really impressive.
Yeah, and if he can get that happening again, I think it's possible that he will secure the damage lead to win. Here comes the Evil Battle Ram right here, but I kind of wish he would have saved it to go with the recruits, because now, look, it's not really going to get much value at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally exactly what we were just talking about, was how good that last push was, but that push came in layers. It came with the recruits, it came with the Lumberjack, and then it came with the Evo'd Battle Ram, and that became a push that you couldn't deal with. So Hasiel has 1 minute. I don't know if he actually has enough time to get back around to that exact push, because he has to get another set of Evo recruits out and another Evo Battle Ram out, but we shall see as this ocean of red comes across the board.
Okay, recruits do get taken out very nicely. Ian using the 3-card cycle, get it back to 2 zaps to zap the left-hand side along with the Evo Zap. Very, very close game. If Ian can continue to defend at this level, he should be able to win with just 1 more Graveyard Poison.
Yeah, that was a massive Ice Spirit snuck in there. Royal Ghost almost sneaks on top of tower, and now the Lumberjack might get their great last-second ability that could be game-saving, Juice.
Yeah, here comes the Evil Battle Ram. Ice Spirit's going to stop anything from happening. Poison on tower to get the damage lead with the zap as well on the defense. For pressure, there's so much at the bridge right here. Skelly Drags, Lumberjack, Ghost, the Fisherman. But Ian has such solid defense. He gets the Evo Zap on tower, and the arrows are in time, and it's game.
That was beautiful and juicy. I think we both felt the moment that Hasiel gave up that game. It was
Yeah, I think that's a really good call. I think Lava is extremely good in the current meta, and even Ian used that Inferno Tower, like you said. So we'll see what's going to happen here. Hasiel starting with Archers. Looks like probably not going to be Lava Hound.
Here we go. Game number 3. Winner moves on in the upper bracket. The loser of this match will go down and face either Morton or Mo. Can't remember exactly where they land. And we see a Goblin Giant out early. Juicy, Goblin Giant not very good in the current meta.
Yeah, Goblin Giant, after the nerf to the HP, doesn't get as much value as it once did, but we see a Fireball Zap come in, make a little bit of a threat. Ian calls the good game already starting the mind games here.
You love to see it.
Yeah, the only thing that could really make Hasiel's Goblin Giant get a lot of value is when it's paired with a Giant Skeleton. So maybe we'll see a Giant Skeleton in front of the Goblin Giant. We've seen a little bit of that on ladder recently, but no, he's going to be using the Sparky.
Gob Giant Sparky as Ian waves the white flag. Royal Ghost completely ignored. Left-hand lane gets, I think, what, 3 shots? No, just 2 shots with the Dagger Duchess interaction, and you know exactly what a Gob Giant Sparky player is going to do when they ignore a push on one side. It means they're going to go all in on the other, and that Sparky didn't know what to target for the longest time. Ends up going to the Royal Ghost, and a nice clean defense here from Ian.
Wow, that was actually really good. I was kind of scared for Ian there when the Skeleton didn't distract the Sparky, but looks like the Fisherman's going to get the job done. The question, though, is can Ian keep up these solid defenses? As we head into double and triple elixir, defenses will continue to get more and more difficult as the Duchess will be out of more and more daggers.
Yeah, and the other thing with playing against these types of decks is it's hard to decide which lane you want to play in, because as you see right there, Hasiel and most Goblin Giant Sparky players are usually happy to switch lanes because they know it only takes 1 push to take that tower. So once they see what you've started to focus on, they're like, all right, well, let's change up the pace and make you change lanes again. So Hasiel doing all things right thus far, although maybe wishing that Dark Prince was in front of the mini P.E.K.K.A.
Yeah, here comes the Evo Skellies on the defense as well, and the Zap was just barely used elsewhere, but the Skeletons actually find a way to get down. So this gives an opportunity for the Gob Giant to get some pretty solid damage, taking the damage lead for the first time this game.
Yeah, perfect splash there from that Sparky shot to clean up all those Evo Skellies. Could have been tough if, as you were saying, Juicy, that Zap was then out of cycle. Those Evo Skellies could have went nuts, but here we go. Ian able to stay alive, 2066 to 21-52. Called out the good game about 30 seconds in. We'll see.
Zap down on the Hunter. Fireball will be able to take that out now if he decides to do it. Sparky locked on the Hunter. Is that
take a step? I was just gonna say.
Oh my gosh.
That is one of the most frustrating things in the game, is when, you know, you're so used to where you play your ranged troops, not thinking that they're ever going to be a factor or a conversation in your opponent getting tower damage. That's why you play them where they are. But then when they're just right next to the tower like that, I have lost so many games from that Sparky splash. And just as quickly as it started, it might be over here for Ian.
Yeah, and it just matters so much here because that amount of damage is so difficult to come back through, especially because of the Fireball cycle. Fireball is not hit the Hunter, so maybe Ian could make a counter push based off of this, but these Archers, I feel like, are underrated in how they're just kind of cleaning everything up.
Archer's really, really clean here, seeing less and less arrows out there in the world, so Archer's coming up just a little bit more. And yeah, with 470 and a minute remaining, I think Ian needs more than a miracle here.
Here comes the Gob Giant at the bridge with the Sparky, low in health. Fisherman once again just pulling everything in range of both Dagger Duchesses, getting so much value. Sparky is going to not be able to get that shot, so maybe there's a chance for a counter push, but the mini P.E.K.K.A, the minions, and then the Evo Archers absolutely take out everything. Fireball Evo Zap finishes the game, and Hasiel